Okay, so moving forward, continuing from the previous video, we're going to be looking at implementing Wyckoff on big time frame charts. So we've already gone through what Wyckoff is, what is based on, the cycle, accumulation, distribution, markups, markdowns. And we're going to be, for this video, we're going to be using primarily the 4 schematics we already looked at. So for accumulation, looking at the first one and the second one, and distribution, first one and the second one. Now, before we start, everyone has to understand that the Forex market has fractal patterns. Now, why is the market fractal? So a fractal pattern has self-similar patterns of complexity increasing with magnification. And in simple terms, it's a never-ending pattern. So applying this to Forex is the same thing you look for in the bigger time frames is the same thing you're looking for in the smaller time frames. Now, for the nerds out there, if you want to research some more, check out Fibonacci spiral and its fractal nature. That's what the spiral looks like. There are some tools using Forex that have to do with Fibonacci, like the Fibonacci extension, and a bunch of other ones that I don't use. But yeah, you can check that out. So going into the charts now, I haven't prepared anything, no content ready for this video. I'm just gonna freestyle it and use it as I usually do, off the top of my head, without looking at the schematics. You can have the schematics side by side if you want to, but I'm just going to use it off the top of my head. So GBP USD is a naked chart, no analysis done on it, just blank chart. I'm gonna pick an area to demonstrate Wyckoff on. Now, I only use Wyckoff primarily in 2 scenarios. If price is at a POI and on the market. So if you want to train your eyes to just understand Wyckoff and see Wyckoff and then grow from there, the way I did it was just using it in 2 scenarios primarily. Obviously, you can have it in your own unique way, but if you're just starting out, or if you're trying to erase what you know and then put in some new knowledge, this is the best way I can advise. So when the market is moving sideways, that's when you see the distribution and accumulation schematics playing out. And also, when price is at a point of interest. If you don't know what a POI is, we're going to go into that in either this video or the next one. We'll see how it goes. So now, first scenario, I'm already seeing this area here. Note this one's a daily time frame as well. So each candle represents a day on this chart. And I'm seeing for days, this chart was just going sideways in that area. So bigger time frames, I refer to them as anything above the 2 hour. So the 2 hour, 3 hour, 4 hour, daily, sometimes weekly. You do get weekly Wyckoff distributions, accumulations, but it's not very common. Now, let's begin. So highlighting my area on the daily because this area is where the market is going sideways, which is one of my reasons why, which is one of the primarily scenarios where I use Wyckoff. So from the daily time frame, going on to the 4 hour, and then just spreading this out, seeing what it looks like. So, okay, so for me, I analyze Wyckoff twice. So I'll first play about marking out which area is what, and then revise it accordingly. Meaning, like I mentioned in the previous video, the PS in distribution is the high before the market starts going sideways. So the market will reach this point and then start going sideways. That point, this area here, is my PS. So that's what I'm going to take. So I'm going to start distribution from and get this out of the way. Okay, so if I take here's my PS, and I'll put that there, or PSY, can't remember exactly. Then see if that makes sense. So after the push up, market came down, and then this push up again, market came down, and then we start going sideways. So seeing that this makes more sense for it to be the PS because the market didn't go sideways after reaching this high. It still made a high. But after the market came here, we then started moving sideways. So this is my PS. Then this level will be my BC. Yeah, liking that so far. Then this will be my AR. This low here. Then this will be my ST. BC. ST is always after the BC. So my sign of weakness will be right here. Then I have it. Okay. So now I have a feeling this area might confuse some people. So someone might be saying, why didn't I pick this low as my sign of weakness? The way I see it, PS here, just going over it again, PS here, we come down, make a low. BC here, when I'm doing Wyckoff, I use the wicks. I don't mind. I don't necessarily focus on the bodies. So you can use the wicks for Wyckoff. Because on a smaller time frame, this will be a body. So BC here, AR, that lines up nicely, reacts on the low. After the PS is formed, the ST doesn't go above the BC. That's what I like to see. And then this to me is one whole leg from this high to this low. Because the market could have done this, and then this would be our SOW. But in this scenario, it's done this. To me, I just see this bit as a distraction. That's what I call it. I just call it distraction. Because in the end, the ultimate goal was for it to reach that point. But it just came down, took a right, then took a left actually, and then came down to this point we were already aiming for. So that's why I'm not picking that area as my sign of weakness. But generally, your area of sign of weakness should be going below the AR anyway. So that becomes my sign of weakness. So now that brings me to the updose area. And I choose this place. Oh, sorry. Right here as the upthrust. Because it's the same thing right here as well. I could have chosen, where is it? Could have chosen this high as my upthrust, but because the upthrust usually is meant to go above the BC and the SC, how I personally remember it is the upthrust breaks above two highs. The two highs are your BC and your ST. So that's one reason why this is not my upthrust. Second reason is, like I mentioned in this scenario here, how we have the 1, 2, 3. This is essentially from this low, we were trying to get to this high. But we just had this distraction that came down and then continued going higher. So going over it again, because of this, upthrust usually breaks above two highs. So it breaks above the BC and the ST. And because this little one candle down and back up was, to me, just a distraction. The main goal is right here for the upthrust. So that's why this level or this price point is not my upthrust. So now, two scenarios. If we remember, once we have the upthrust here, it's either price. So this peak is our upthrust. Then the price comes, makes a U-tad. So that's the upthrust after distribution. And then that, or after the upthrust, price break structure, and then that. And in this scenario, we can see clearly our structure is the lows. Sorry, the candle closes. So the candle bodies, not the wicks. So this clearly goes below or closes below this low here. This is our low. This is our high. We've come down, closed below that low. So we have one close here, another close below that low, which is right here. I'm gonna put that break of structure to the downside, BRS. So now you can anticipate for price to retrace into an area. So points of interest is this imbalance right here. This imbalance right here. Price came up to that area, retraced into it nicely, play some price action, and then we sold up. So now this will be, I believe, this point here will be the LPS or LPSY. I just usually generally just use LPS. And then price came here again, nothing. So as far as I can see, no clear, let's say, entry point, but we didn't have another break below this low here. So we closed, the candle bodies closed below the previous low. So again, this is the low. We come up from the high, and then price comes, breaks below. So this is now a lower low than our previous low. And then price comes here, makes the high here, and then we break below this low, closes below the previous low. So area of interest or points of interest would then be the last up candle before the down candle. The last up candle before consecutive bearish candles. Price comes into that area, and then we can see it starts marking down. So this is a nice example of using Wyckoff on a bigger time frame. 4-hour time frame, quite clear, nicely played out, good areas of interest, and yeah, seems quite straightforward.